This episode is sponsored by Lucky Duck Games. You can check out their entire collection of games at luckyduckgames.com. Hey gang, and thanks for joining me at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Kevin Delp. Just kidding, I'm Will Meadows filling in for Kevin. Stick around till the end, you can see me trying on his hats. Today I'm going to be talking about 12 games that are coming to crowdfunding platforms during the first 2 weeks of June 2022. Let's get rolling. Coming to Kickstarter June 1st is He.r.o from Ely River Games. It's from designer Peter Schapatcher. In the game, you can act as a recently graduated doctor who needs to serve the first night shift at the ER. You will manage patients, upgrade your skills to treat complicated cases, and try to get enough sleep, all while not causing too much chaos. The game can be played in cooperative or competitive mode. June 5th, we should see the launch of Reach, a space-themed board game from Arvis Games Incorporated. The premise of the game is that the Earth has become unlivable, and the United Space Center has decided to send 4 companies to the next habitable planet in exchange for exclusive mining rights. The ships do not have enough resources, nor an experienced enough crew to actually land on the planet though, so your job is to manage your crew and complete missions along the way before your friends do, so that you can gain more experience and land your ship in the best possible condition. If you'd like to get an even better look at Reach, we'll actually be doing an overview video of that on our channel, so keep an eye out for that before the campaign begins. Coming June 7th is the game Nut Hunt from Pine Island Games. It's a game of territorial squirrels that's played on a hex board with elements of hand management, random movement, and area control. Players will have to watch out for the fox, which roams the board at random. When the fox encounters squirrels, they must flee into adjacent hexes. The fox can foil plans, be used to disrupt opponents, or be worked into a master strategy of scattering your own squirrels into more advantageous hexes. Jonah will have a preview of that game on our channel as well, and then I've got 2 more games to tell you about coming June 7th. The first is Dinositters. This is from Featherstone Games, has some fun art from Joel Botkin, and is an entry-weight worker placement puzzle game in which players take on the role of 2 teenage dino siblings working to keep the newly hatched babies fed and entertained until their parents return home. Players will gather resources, add hatchlings from the nursery to their nest, earn happiness by feeding hatchlings their favorite foods, they'll find friends for them to play with, and complete lava goals. The family with the most happiness at the end of the game wins. And finally on June 7th, keep an eye out for the new Tsuro Luxury Limited Edition game coming from Calliope Games. It's a deluxe version of the path building game where you try to keep your token on the board longer than anyone else's. The new deluxe version will feature a beautifully carved wooden box, luxurious embroidered satin bag, bamboo scrolls, fantastically sculpted metal figures, and thick resin tiles. You can learn more and get an even closer look in a video that Kevin has put together on our channel. Check the description for links. There are a number of different games slated for launch on June 15th of this month. You'll want to be sure to check out Midnight Murder Mysteries from Multi Faces Editions. The first version of the game was published in France, and this new second edition is being brought to the US and will feature a large number of unique cases for players to solve. In each case, you'll get to interrogate the 12 suspects on 3 conversation topics and search for clues in 24 different locations on various decks of the ship. The second edition will also feature new cooperative and solo modes. At Tantrum House, we had an opportunity to play through an early prototype version of the game. A lot has changed since that playthrough, but you can still get a good feel for what the game is like if you want to check out that video. Bretwalda is going to be coming to Gamefound. It's from the publisher Phalanx, from designer Leo Salovi. Northumbria, Mercia, Wessex, and East Angles, the 4 largest kingdoms of Britain, are all vying for supremacy. In the game, you'll take control of one of these kingdoms to subdue the Viking raiders, use diplomacy, coercion, and if necessary, brute military strength to overcome your rivals, in hopes of claiming the crown and becoming the Bretwalda. Battle for Glory Rome is a strategic combat card game where you'll attempt to entertain audiences in the Roman Empire in armed combat. Collect gold coins to acquire ancient gladiator weapons, use your shields to repel adversaries, and risk everything at the Great Gladiatorial Training School. Battle your opponents for supremacy, and be the last one standing in the arena in this game for 2 to 4 players. The Adventures of Dixon is a scenario-based strategy game set in a multi-spoked interdimensional noir horror world filled with paranormal detectives, monster crime bosses, and vampire torch song singers. This is a limited area skirmish game with characters that have specific powers and abilities that can be augmented with cards that you draw throughout the game. You'll choose your boss, recruit your mugs, assemble your gear, and charge your magical powers. If you can defeat your opponents and obtain your objective by outwitting them with each character's unique abilities, then you'll win the game. And finally, also coming on June 15th, we have Clash of Galliformes. Explore, build, and battle in this strategic and resource management game within an alternate timeline where birds work alongside tribal clans. As the clans have developed close to their feathery mounts, their cultures have been intertwined. Some have mastered the way of faster bird breeding, while others have gone down a more warlike path. Players must expand their territory to find supplies and new technologies. Will you conquer the other clans by force, or will your memory live on through the peaceful measure of completing cave paintings? The choice is yours. I've got 2 more games to talk about in this episode. The first, I don't actually have a date for. That is The Queen's Dilemma, coming sometime in the month of June. It's a sequel to the award-winning King's Dilemma. In this one, you'll delve back into the kingdom of Ankist for a whole new narrative legacy experience. Much of the gameplay of the Queen's Dilemma will be focused on a big map of the kingdoms. Players will take control of different regions, there will be several resources to gather with different uses, and players will be able to exchange them to construct buildings and other personal improvements. All of the tense voting and stress that was involved in the King's Dilemma will also be present in this game. It'll be at the center of the game. However, you'll be doing a lot more than just moving up and down on some resource tracks. Alright, and finally, for the month of June, the first half, I want to tell you guys about a game coming June 25th called Utopia. From Gravity Games Limited, this co-op game will have you controlling a shadowy 24th century faction set on reordering history to set off a chain reaction which will bring about your utopian vision for the world. Chrono ships capable of traversing all 4 dimensions of space and time will allow you to hunt through all of history in order to hire the brightest minds. However, you're not the only one with a grand vision for the future, and you must watch out for your rivals who will attempt to meddle with your plans. The aim of this 1 to 4 player drafting worker placement game is to be the first to complete 3 butterfly effect missions. And that pretty much wraps it up. You should be able to find all of these games on either Kickstarter or Gamefound this month, June 2022. If there's anything that was particularly interesting to you, maybe perked your interest, I'd love to know about it in the comments to see if I can find some additional information for you. I know there's a couple of different campaigns that I'm personally keeping an eye on because I'm excited about these games. As always, we'd appreciate a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. And then one thing before I go, I want to say a huge thank you to Kevin. I know he puts these videos together every month, twice a month, curating all this data, pulling together the info and the Kickstarters and the campaigns and doing all the research and making these videos. I super appreciate the work that he does. If you do as well, why don't you drop him a thank you in the comments? I'm sure he'd appreciate it. All right, see you guys next time. Today I'm going to be looking at 12. It's from designer He.r.o. It's kind of like Mjolnir, like, am I worthy of donning the Kevin hat? Should I have worn this in the video? That's really the question. I don't really know that I'm a hat guy. Maybe like at a 45. Give me that vote in the comments. Am I looking good? Who does it better, Kevin or Will? That's right.